expertise with us at the QA community. And I will now pass the hosting to our lovely quiz master slash host, Manish. Manish, take it away.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, and welcome everyone and audience. As Daniel said, please join from the lobby. Those are in lobby. Please click join button and you can join the session. And it will be great for you because you will get a chance to write the question directly to the presenters. So without a delay, let me introduce the presenter. If you can see my screen, so we have a Bhagesh here. So he's a solution engineer in Katalon, and uh, he's going to tell us about more Katalon and what is his thought on that and how we can implement automation strategy using the Katalon. So over to you, Bhagesh.
Yeah, thanks, Manish. Hey everyone, my name is Bhagesh, and as Manish has introduced me already, I'm working as a solutions engineer with Katalon. I think we might have met before as well in yesterday's session and today's panel discussion, but thank you so much for taking out your time. What I'll do is I'll quickly start sharing my screen with all of you guys so that you get to see at least something on the screen, and I'll present the slideshow. So in today's discussion, what we are going to to is how we can design a best-in-class test automation strategy. We are going to talk about some facts. We are also going to see how Katalon can help you overcome the hurdles that currently industry is facing. So without wasting much time, let's get started. Now, you already have an introduction about me, but when I'm not working, what I do is what my hobbies are. I basically do competitive programming and I like to read books as well. Now, yeah. So the first thing that comes up is we conducted a survey. This survey is known as State of Quality Survey 2022. And the first thing that we came across in this survey is automation testing is the most popular QA technique. We are talking about codeless automation here, and here we have our results. Automation testing is the most popular QA technique. 51% of respondents reported that they are using automation testing. Now, when I'm saying it's such a popular QA technique, why number is so less? Why 49% of survey respondents are not using automation technique? That we are going to look into. The second thing is popularity of open source tool like Selenium is decreasing. So in 2018, you can see that Selenium was occupying 86% of market share, and this number is drastically reducing. Now, this is happening because the codeless automation tools that are coming in market are very powerful. We are going to explore them as well in this session. And the third thing is most of the people who were respondents in survey reported that they have got a very high return on investment. So when we speak to our upper management and we tell them that this is the perfect tool for us and we think that, so we should have a look into it. The first question that comes up is whether this tool would give us a proper return on investment. So 85% of people believe that automation is giving them a very good return on investment, whereas 15% believe that they're getting no return on investment or very less return on investment. So we would go with the higher number, 85, which is significantly very higher. Now, in this agenda, what I'm going to stick to is first we'll talk about software development lifecycle, the importance of testing phase, like how can we even start about codeless automation discussion without talking about software development lifecycle, and then we'll cover when should we start software testing, what should we do to ensure that there are no bugs getting leaked onto production or shipped to production, challenges that people are facing, as we saw that only 51% of people are using test automation in their organization. So challenges that others are facing, discussing about what should be the ideal strategy or best practices that one should follow while doing test automation. The sixth pointer would be how Katalon can pitch in and make life easier whenever it comes to test automation, being a codeless automation tool. And then we have high level product demonstration of Katalon, where I'm going to give you an introduction of what Katalon has to offer and how it could prove as a one-stop testing solution for all your testing needs. And then I'm going to cover Katalon Desktop and the recently released Katalon Test Cloud. Towards the end, I'll open up the floor for the Q&A. In the interest of time, I'd slightly like to rush in this session, but feel free to post any questions if you have. I'd be taking them towards the end. Now, we are well aware about software development lifecycle. I hardly believe that there would be someone in this meeting who might not know about what SDLC is. SDLC is nothing but series of steps that are followed by multiple teams so as to ensure that they deliver software on time and that to a very high quality software. There are multiple teams involved in software development lifecycle, like design team, There's a maintenance team, then there's testers, QAs, and then we have developers, and there are lots of folks, analysts. So all of them work together in unison to ensure that they are delivering best quality software. So this is about the software development lifecycle. Now, the role of testing in software development lifecycle is very important. And when I say this, I mean it. Like, we don't want to create a software which is not of any use for anyone. It is not meeting up the requirements or is full of bugs. So that's why testing is very important. And just to ensure that we are not leaking any bugs onto production, what should we do is we should take care of the basic principles of software testing. Now, I can guarantee you that following these principles would allow you to have your 0 bugs in production, but at least they would tend you to get 0 bugs in your production. You would at least get redirected towards that route. So these are the 7 principles of software testing. Exhaustive testing is not possible. This is what the first principle says. Now, we would have multiple audience members who would say, okay, we can do exhaustive testing, but here we are considering the entire end-to-end scenario. There might be multiple test cases that might we even not think of. And that's why this principle is true. This is universally accepted. Second principle is defect clustering. Now, Bhagesh is saying, okay, exhaustive testing is not possible, which means that we would be leaking the bugs to production. So, okay, that's not true. There is a principle named as defect clustering, which would basically enable you to identify all the modules that could prove as in cluster for defect. This principle states that 80% of bugs emerge from 20% of modules. So these modules are known as critical module, and you need to ensure that all these modules are covered. Then we have pesticide paradox. Some of my customers tell me that they have been performing regression testing. They have been performing certain set of testing while shipping on their code to production, and there's no bug, and they're happy about it. And I just said them, when did you updated your test cases last time? And they were like, no, we have same test suite that runs each and every time. So pesticide paradox says that if you use same pesticide over a pest for elongated duration of time, they would develop resistance or immunity towards that particular pesticide. And you can't kill them then. They are immortal, literally. So we need to update our test suites, test cases. We need to identify all the corner test cases, because as the application evolves over the period of time, it starts getting coupled, and thereby it becomes very much essential to check all the functionalities that are being there. Then we have testing shows present of defect. Testing will only talk about those defects that are present. It won't tell you about those defects that are hidden, that are yet not identified. And then we have absence of error fallacy. Now imagine a best case scenario where you were performing testing and you got to see that all of your test cases are passing. You have updated them. It's not like the exhaustive testing is not possible scenario. You have updated your test cases, but still all of them are passing. So you are very happy. You're like, okay, that's great. But how, first of all, I'd like to see in chat how many of you believe that in case if there are no errors inside your run, the entire build, you would be happy with it. It's completely green. The status bar shows green. How many of you would be happy with that? You can type that in chat, and I'd just love to see the responses that are coming in. So I think most of you would be happy with this scenario. This would be an ideal case scenario where you would be getting a green button. But yeah, as Pooja mentioned, she won't be happy. So we shouldn't be happy with that. Testing should start as early as possible. Now, let's say all your test cases are passing, but the business for which you have been developing that software tells you that the requirements are not being met. Now, this is a twist in the story. The software that you have created is perfectly healthy. It's passing all the test cases, but the business requirements are not being met. So software is of no use. So what should we do? We should start testing as early as possible in our software development lifecycle. We have gone through the diagram of software development lifecycle. Testing is the fifth step towards it, or fifth stage in it. But we shouldn't wait for all the previous 4 stages to complete the execution or complete the intervals. We should rather start with testing as early as possible. And last is testing is context dependent, which means that a bug that has been identified by one software could be an expected feature in other software. We might have heard about multiple memes saying this is not a bug, this is a feature. So this is true. In certain scenarios, it is quite possible that the application behaves incorrectly for one particular context, but in other contexts, it might behave perfectly fine. It's like 6 and 9. It's just about the different perception from where we see them. Moving on to next slide. Why should we use test automation? Why everyone is using test automation? Why we hear a lot about test automation? Now, first of all, we need to understand the manual and automation testing both are existing in unison. They're not enemies of each other. There's no versus in between them, which means that both of them are equally important. If it would have been the case that test automation is important, then manual testing would have abolished from the market. So both of them are equally important. And when I say this, what should we do is the main task of QA should be to identify the fauna test cases. It should not be to write test case, maintain test case. This should be something that machines are capable of doing, codeless automation tools are capable of doing. So test automation basically enhances reliability and speed. It provides you accuracy, it provides you cost saving, and you can reuse the codes. Like if you have a login scenario. Now, login scenario is my perfect example. That is something that I use a lot. I use frequently, and I think you would be able to relate to it as well. So if you have a login scenario and we talk about code reusability, you write a single script and then it runs across on different data that you're providing. So that's why we should make use of test automation. Now, what should be the ideal strategy for test automation? Now, answering this question is the most difficult task. There's no fit for all strategy. It's just like a shoe that won't fit for all. Different businesses might have different requirements, but the principles that we have studied about, the basic principles, those should be followed. And as I mentioned, the job of QA should be to ensure that the new test cases are being formed. They are updated. It's not like they are repeating same set of test cases again and again from stage 1 to stage 10 of the software development. They should keep on updating the test cases. But most of the time we see that people are saying that the test cases are breaking. They have to spend a lot of time fixing these test cases. Let's say if there's an update on the front end, all the locators are breaking. So you might have gone through this scenario, and you would be able to relate this thing if you have used the end-to-end testing frameworks like Selenium, Cypress, etc. But this should not be the problem. That's why in market we have tools that are coming up with the self-healing mechanism like Katalon. And I'm going to demonstrate how Katalon makes life very much easier. So if you are new to automation, you want to make a switch from manual to automation testing, what you can do is you can stay tuned in for the next slide. That's exactly for you. And in case if you're already using automation testing and you think that automation testing is a problem for you since maintaining script is a difficult task, the next slide is for you as well. Now let's identify the common challenges that people are facing while automating their test cases. So we saw that 51% of people were using automation testing. It's the most popular form of testing, but still 51% of people are using it. Remaining 49% of them are not using it. Why? You can see the number one reason: lack of skills and experience in test automation tool. Now, to be a QA or to ensure that your tests are running properly, your build is free of the bugs, you shouldn't be a programming prodigy, I believe. Otherwise, you would have been playing a role of software developer or something. I think QAs shouldn't be, they should have knowledge of programming, that's correct, but that should not be only thing that QA should know. Like QAs have a constructive mind, they have a creative mind, I would say, from where they can see faults that other people can't. So I think they should make use of the test automation tool. Programming is not something that they should focus majorly on. So, and the second reason you can see is requirement changes too often. So requirement changes too often. The world is agile, but in case if you are able to make use of code back again and again, that is code reusability, if you are able to make use of same test objects, that should solve your purpose. The fourth thing is fragile test scripts and high cost of script maintenance. This is something that we have discussed, that maintaining test script is a pain. And if we have self-healing mechanism in place, this pain is resolved. This pain point is actually resolved. So let's have a look at how Katalon can help you. So when I speak about Katalon, most of you would be having an impression that Katalon is just a record and playback tool. So we started with Katalon Studio, that's correct. That was a record and playback tool. But now when we look into it, Katalon is a lot more than a record and playback tool. So I'll give you a small overview about our platform. Here you can see that we started with Katalon Studio. That is basically an IDE which allows you to edit your test cases, create your test cases, arrange your test cases. Then we had Katalon Recorder. Both of them work together in unison for the test generation phase. So Katalon Recorder is capable of recording the mobile test, the desktop test, the web test, and you can also write in your API test as well. So when it comes to testing, Katalon could prove as a one-stop testing solution, because we know that API testing is something that has been gaining a lot of market popularity these days. APIs are nothing but the endpoints using which multiple applications communicate with each other. We have web testing, mobile app testing. These two types of testing are very much prominent and we know about them. And desktop testing is also something which is covered. Now, once the test generation completes, we have test stops in the test orchestration phase. It will basically allow you to do pretty much everything. Let's say you're having a release, it would allow you to create a release planning. In case if you want to execute the test cases directly from the test stops, that is also something which is possible. You can link it with the source code management tools like GitHub, Bitbucket, and along with that, you can also integrate it with the CI/CD pipelines. In case you want to create an agent, let's say I want to run my test cases from Katalon desktops on my machine, I can do that as well. In case if you are lazy, I'd say not lazy, I'd say smart, then also you can make use of Katalon desktops. So let's say my manager tells me that Bhagesh, you have to execute all these test cases by 6 p.m. And I'm like, 6 p.m. I already made party plans for 6 p.m. So what I would basically do is I can schedule these test cases or test suites in Katalon desktops and give in the timing on which I'd like Katalon desktops to trigger these test cases. Just like a traditional CI/CD, Katalon desktops would do that job for you as well. So there are lots of things that Katalon desktops has to offer. It gives you the test insights as well. In case if a firm management comes up and says, oh, Bhagesh, you executed these test cases at 6, right? Well, what was the status? And I'm like, I didn't execute that. Katalon testsoft took care of that for me. What to do about insights? So insight is also something that Katalon testsoft take care of. So you get to see all the test cases of yours when they have been triggered, what was the result, at what step they were breaking, in case if they broke. So all these things would be reflected across in Katalon desktops. Now, the last thing is Katalon Test Cloud and Runtime Engine. So let's say if you want to run your test cases from CI or from your terminal and you don't want to click the play button from Katalon Studio, you can make use of Katalon Runtime Engine, which would basically allow you to launch your test cases in the form of the command. And Test Cloud, which is a recent addition by Katalon, makes Katalon a perfect solution, a complete umbrella of all the things. You can basically trigger your test cases on a remote environment, which is a major ask these days, by triggering your test cases from either Katalon Studio or Katalon desktops to Katalon Test Cloud. And you can determine what operating system you want to run on. Would it be Windows or Linux, and the browser version. So that is how Katalon products looks like. This is the complete umbrella of Katalon. Move on to next slide, and this is for the product walkthrough. I hope you have got a very good understanding of what Katalon can offer. Now, let's make things more interesting by seeing the actual product in action. So what I'll do is I'll open up Katalon Studio, and I'm going to give you a small glimpse on how Katalon works. Now, you would be saying that Bhagesh already has created a project. No worries on that part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sample project. You can see that I can create different projects out over there. It could be a BDD project, it could be web UI project, or it could be the Android project. But what I would go with is I would go with the web UI project. Let's start with this. New project, new sample project, web UI.
I guess you need to share that screen, which you're. I can see the presentation right now.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for pitching in there. I was
okay.
not aware of this thing.
That is my job.
Yeah.
As I was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it available? Is it visible now?
Yes. Yes.
That's very lame of me to name it as a sample project, but you see, I'm not that creative person. I'm not a pretty designer part, and in designing, I'm lacking. So let's start off with this project. It would take a couple of minutes to create a new project. Okay, so now I think we have a project. It's a sample project that Katalon has created for me, and there are certain keywords. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a new test case. I'll create a new test case. Let's say end-to-end test. I'll click OK. So I think pretty much all the things that are here are self-explanatory. The first thing that you can see here is profiles. You can create multiple profiles like staging. You can create a QA profile. You can create a prod profile, and you can pass in environment variables here. So I know that login URL for login would be different for the website which is in QA and website that is in prod. So we can set global variables out over here by selecting the profiles. So yeah, I created a default profile. Katalon has created a default profile for me. I click on end-to-end scenario, and what I do is this: I click on record web. It would give me the recording information. I need to select browser. I can shuffle in between browsers as well from here. And I need to select the URL at which I'd like my test to start recording. So I already selected a URL. We are going on to that particular link. Katalon has redirected us to that link. Now what we need to do is we just need to perform the actions. So I'd wait for this page to open up. I think my internet is giving me issues. I'll click on make appointment. Okay. I'm not able to, give me a second. Yeah, now I'm able to do that. And what I'll do is I'll enter in my username. I'll see what all are the processes that are running in the background. Yeah, now I think it's good. John Doe is the username, and this is not a password. I like this password. This is not a password. I'll click on login, and here I can see I can select the facility. Now this is basically a healthcare application. I'll click this checkbox. I'll click here. I'll take a date for my appointment. Let's say 30th April. And it's okay. Appointment. I'll click on book appointment. I can see that I booked this appointment. I'll click on go to home page. So this is how my test case is going to look like. It was an end-to-end test flow. Now let's get back onto Katalon. If I expand it, it has recorded all these actions, as you can see. Now the beauty about Katalon is the simple GUI that it offers. Now you might have seen multiple tools in this entire Codeless conference event. But when you look at the GUI, I'm going to give you a glimpse of GUI as well. It's pretty easy and self-explanatory, and it's very easy to learn Katalon. Like one can learn the entire tool in just 4 to 5 hours. And believe me, when I'm saying this, I've personally experienced this. So I'll click on save script, and these are the test objects that I can reuse. What I'll do is I'll create a new folder for them, and let's call it as end-to-end test objects. Okay, I created a new folder for this. I selected this folder. These are the test objects. Test objects are nothing but the locator with which we have interacted with element. I'll click on OK, and these test objects are stored. Now the test has been stored as well. So you can see all the test objects here, and you can see the test here as well. This is how the test looks like. Now it's pretty easy to read this test, but let me give you a small glimpse of the GUI. As speaking about GUI, that is very much user friendly, very easy to adapt to. So let's have a look into it. We all are aware about the keyword test cases. What a test case is? It is nothing but a scenario. So this is nothing but the folder in which all of your test cases would go. You can see that there's an end-to-end test that we have created recently. So this is the first part. Going on to the second part, what is an object repository? Collection of test objects so that you can reuse those objects. So this is the object repository. And when we speak about the objects that we have recently captured, the Katalon has helped us capture these objects. These are the objects. When we talk about the third segment, it test suits. Now, what is a test suite? Test suite again is nothing but collection of multiple test cases. Can I create a test suite? Yeah, I can. Let's see that. I'll create a test suite, and I'll end-to-end test suite. Now, again, it's a monotonous name. I told you I'm not that creative person, but yeah, this is the name that I'm giving to a test suite that I'm creating. And let's add test cases in it. Now, how to add test cases? It's pretty much easy. You can see an add button here. You get to see all the test cases that you have recorded. I'll just add in this test case. I only trust those test cases that I have developed by myself, and I'll click on OK. And basically what it has helped us to do is it has helped us to add that particular test case in this test suite that we have created. Now, the data file is an important aspect. So you can integrate Katalon with the XLSX file, that is Excel file, or the CSV file. You can integrate it with the external database as well. Now, what is the meaning of that? We have seen data-driven approach where inside a single test case, we are reading test data from multiple files. These could be the databases or external files. You can have all these files out over here. So this is data files. You can create checkpoints. Now, checkpoints are very important. Now, let's say you're fetching in your data from a file and some of your colleague has just manipulated that file a few moments ago and your test cases are failing. So what you can do is you could basically have a checkpoint set. It would see whether the results that were recorded in the previous run for the data that was coming in from CSV, Excel, or database is same as that of the result which is coming here. So it is a point of validation. It helps you confirm that data is same. So you are rest assured that if data is same, if your test cases are failing, it's not because of the test data which was being generated, because previously your test cases have passed in this point. So that's about the 4 aspects. I'm going to give you a small introduction about other aspects as well, but let's see the test case that we have recorded in action. Keeping finger crossed that it would work properly fine for me. I'll save it. I'll save the test suite as well. And I'll go on this. You can run it across on multiple browsers. You can even run it across on remote infrastructure. You can run it across on Katalon Test Cloud, or let's say you want to run it across on BrowserStack, Sauce Labs, Lambda Test, or any other third-party vendor. You could do that as well. For now, I'm going to run it across on Chrome, which is the default browser that I set. The job is in progress. It should spawn a Chrome browser on my local machine. Yeah, it shows the test case is running on Chrome. It is starting the Chrome driver. We should see the Chrome window here. It's performing login. It's selecting the date of our choice. And yeah, we got the appointment. It's very rare to see getting appointment at the date of our choice, but Katalon's demo website was kind enough to give us an appointment. So this is how end-to-end test case would look like on Katalon. Now, this again is a very small glimpse of how things could be performed. I'll show you the further things that you could achieve. We might have heard about keywords. Now, what are the keywords? Keywords are nothing but basic functions that you can write inside your test cases. So let's say there are certain set of actions that you want to perform, and Katalon is not offering you any keyword around that or any, I'd say the keywords around that. So what you can do is you can write your code as well. So as I mentioned that we will never be on that part where we would be 100% automating or moving on to the recording playback or codeless automation thing. There would be some flexibility that we need to provide to our users so as to add in flexibility. You can pretty much do everything with the record and playback tool, but let's say if there's some validation that you want to do, there's some custom logic that you want to build, you can do that as well by specifying a keyword. And when you have to use that keyword, okay, Bhavesh, we have created a keyword, how to use that? So out over here in the recent keywords, what I'll do is I'll click on add and I can click on the custom keyword. So there are multiple keywords that Katalon offers, but I'll click on custom keyword in this particular case. So here you see, these are nothing but the keywords that are being offered by Katalon. And it's pretty much easy to understand these keywords as well. Like hardly someone of you might not know what open browser could do. It would basically open up the browser that I selected. Then it would navigate me to a specific URL, and then it performs click, double click, set text. So all of these keywords are pretty much easy to use and easy to understand as well. So this is about keywords. Now let's talk about test listeners. Now there would be certain folks who would be coming in from the scripting world who would be making use of, let's say, JUnit or TestNG previously prior to using the codeless automation tool, or might be still using these frameworks. They might have heard about what is before suite, what is after suite, and these keywords. So what you could do is you could also add in a test listener. Let's say if I add in a test listener, what I want this listener to do, I want this listener to perform certain actions whenever my test case completes or my test suite completes. So what I would do is I could click on before test case, So this would generate an annotation or a test listener, which would run before the execution of the entire test case. Now, this would only be triggered when you are running test case, not in the case of test suite. If you want something to get executed before your test suite begin its execution, a one-time thing for all the tests, you can click here and deselect this. So this will basically help you create a test suite, create what I'd say, create a test listener for before test suite method. So this is about the test listener thing. Then all the report of yours would be going in here. I have not executed a test suite. Once I execute a test suite or test suite collection, all my reports would be going in here inside the report section. So let's execute a test suite as well. Now test suite contains a single test data, the single test. But if we click execution environment, now people will ask me, Bhagesh, how can we execute the test cases? Now this is how you can execute the test cases in the test suite. Here, what you can do is you can click on how many times you would like to run the failed execution or retry the failed execution once it fails. And you can specify in your implicit timeout as well out over here. Other than that, what you could do is retry all after execution all. This is something that you could do. So what it would do is, let's say, even if in case if there's single test case that is failing, it would retry all executions. In case if you want to run only failed test cases, you can do that as well by clicking. And what the mail recipients, now there would be someone who would be waiting in for the reports, as you have scheduled these test cases at 6 a.m. I have scheduled these test cases at 6 a.m. I believe that you know where I'm coming from. This is from the joke that I was sleeping and I had scheduled these test cases. So you can enter in the mail recipients as well. So basically, after completion of the test suite, the mail would be sent to the mail recipient with the result of the test suite. So this is how Katalon helps you ease the task of creating the test suite. You can run these test suites as well. I'm not running it because it is basically containing a single test case. Let's say if I try to add in another test case as well, if there is any, and I click OK, and I go to execution environment, I can see this. Okay, there are two test cases that I have entered. And I can select or deselect this box to identify what all test cases I want to run inside this test suite. So this is all about the test suite. If I click here, you can create a test suite collection as well. So let's say if you have multiple test suites in place and you want to run multiple test suites, each test suite contains multiple test cases, you can do that by creating a test suite collection. So this is a test suite collection that I have entered. And now people would ask how parallel testing is possible with Katalon. Yeah, it is something which is achievable, and it is achievable in a very simple manner. You just need to create a test suite collection. You need to add test suites in there. So the hierarchy is like test case at the lower level, test suites slightly above. This is something that you already might know. And test suite collections, as its name suggests, is nothing but collection of multiple test suites. So what I'd do is I'd select end-to-end test suite here, and let's select this test suite here as well and click on OK. Okay, so I selected the profiles. Now I want to run them in parallel. I can click here how many parallel sessions I want, because these test suites might be having multiple test cases. So I can specify the parallel session. In case if I want to specify a delay in between these sessions, I could do that as well by mentioning the time here. And to trigger it, it's a very simple thing. I just click on save and let me click. Okay. Yeah, I'll click on save, and if I go here, I can select to run them by clicking on this execute button, which is out over here.
Yeah. So parallel execution is most of the challenging case for most of the testers.
Yeah, and there are lots of recording playback tool that would allow you to basically do parallel testing, but the process is complicated, I believe. I've seen certain tools in which you would be required to create a server in itself. Now, when we are speaking about codeless thing, how one should know to create text server, anything like that. So in that case, what you could do is you could create a test suite collection. It allows you it gives you a single radio button that you need to click, maximum parallels that you would like to run, and you just need to click on execute.
So you just showed us for the web. So will it support all the things like mobile, API?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's correct. Yeah, I can show you that as well. I'll show you a
I
snippet.
believe we are
Yeah,
we are
in
the
the
tail
interest
of
of
the,
time.
no, yeah.
Yeah,
So but yeah, so that is what, and I can see there are so many questions popping up in the Q&A section as well, and I believe team is answering those some. So yeah, so
yeah.
is there
I'll
any specific thing you want to cover in this session now?
yeah, I'll
Or
just wind it up by adding in what all Katalon has to offer.
sure.
I already specified that API testing is possible. So you can create a new project, a new API project. Now I'm not going to create one. In case if you want to see how API testing could be done, feel free to contact us. This is how you can create a project around API testing. And if you want to do mobile app testing, that is also something which is possible. Just like we recorded web actions, we can record the mobile app actions as well. All the actions that would be basically doing would be getting recorded, and then you can run them across on the device of your choice. Then we have desktop recording as well. So this is all Katalon has to offer. I'll also give you a 2-minute overview of Katalon desktops. Manish, I know we are running out of the time, but please give me
Yeah,
two
two
minutes.
minutes is okay. Yeah, 2 minutes is okay.
I'll just show them Katalon desktops. That is something which is interesting. So team, this is how Katalon desktops look like. Now you can create multiple projects in here. I'll go on to first project that I've created. This is how the dashboard of projects looks like. It gives me a high level overview of the recent executions that I've done. When it comes to the configuration, if I have to run it across on my own agent, let's say, what I'd do is I'd upload the test case on Git, and uploading test case on Git or any other SCM is very much simpler since we directly offer integration with Git here. You can clone project, you can commit, you can push directly from here. I created a repository. This is the repository that I created, and I already uploaded it. You can create a Git repository as well. And when it comes to test environments, you can execute a test on Kubernetes environment. I think remote execution or the execution in isolated environment is something which is must these days. You can execute it on your local machine as well. What I have been doing is I created my own agent with a wrong spelling. I'm not that creative, as I told you. So you can create a local agent as well, and you can run your test cases on the scheduled time. How you can run it? We might have seen Google Calendar since we are working offline from so long. This is how Katalon's calendar look like. So test of calendar looks like. You can click on schedule test run. You can name your test case, or let's say I name it as regression test. I can select the repository that is linked. I can select what I want to run. I want to run a test suite here. How many test suites do I have in that project? Katalon would show me this. I just need to select one of them from the drop down. I need to select the browser on which I would like to run this, the profile. Now, profile is nothing but you can create multiple profiles for different environments to specify global variables, just like for staging, QA, and prod environment, URL would be different. You can specify the time for the execution and the end time. In case if you would like this thing to repeat in a specific cadence, you could do that as well. And towards the end, we have introduced Katalon Test Cloud. So you could select Katalon Test Cloud as well. So Test Cloud environment. And under this, you can run your test cases across on Windows or Linux. If I click here, Windows, I get to see these many versions of Chromes that are available out over here. And same goes for the Linux as well. So this would be about the remote execution. And last thing that I would like to cover is what if these test URLs are residing on our local machine. Let's say there's something known as localhost 8000, which is not publicly accessible. So how Katalon would be accessing that URL? With Katalon Test Cloud Tunnel. That's a simple answer. That's a simple test toggle button. Going on to reports on the dashboard, it was just a high level overview, but here you can see the complete reports. These are the reports that have been generated. It shows you the trend. And let's say you want to see these, if I go to test management, I can manage my tests as well. I'll click here under test cases. This is a test case that I have. Under test objects, these are the test objects that I have. And if you want to see how many of test cases are passing or how many of them are failing, let's say if I go to test cases and I basically see the test cases that are here. Okay, it shows these test cases. And let's say I go to any of the test case, which was last executed here, I'd be basically able to see the entire history. Its
Yeah, so
performance,
I
its
can see that
feature.
it's just becoming a package now, means we can have
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, that's correct. You can manage your test cases, you can design and run your test cases, you can execute your test cases.
Yeah.
So that's all Katalon has got to offer. We would be adding in other features as well. So stay tuned for that. And in case any one of you would like us to present a corporate demo, or would like, if you think that the solution might be a proper fit for your team, feel free to contact us.
Okay. So
yeah,
thank
thanks,
you.
Manish. Over to you.
Thank you, Aish. Thank you, and thanks to Rob as well. He answered most of the questions in a Q&A section, which cover a lot because we are now skipping a Q&A because he already answered most of the questions, and those are unanswered questions we can take offline. Okay. And
kudos to Rob.
yes, thanks, Rob. Okay, right. So guys, now this is the time where we will have a quiz with everyone. Those are with us, the audience. Okay, so just give me a minute. Let me share my screen for the quiz. So audience, hope you might be ready. So let's start. Okay, so here we are. So this is the leaderboard from the previous, you can say, the session, and we will start quiz now. Here you go with the first question.
Guys, I've shared my LinkedIn profile. Feel free to reach out to me for answers to this quiz. Just kidding.
Yeah. Okay, most of them say automation testing. Let's see what is the correct answer. Okay, that is the correct one. Moving to the next question, guys.
I think we have got a smart audience. They would be able to identify all the questions correct.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, guys. This is okay.
I think there should have been all of the above as well.
Yeah, but all the answers are correct.
Yeah, you can take that.
You can see.
Yeah.
This time you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, this is the final question for this session. Hope you all ready. Here you go. Okay, some people got confused. Okay, no worries. So test cloud is the correct answer, and hope you all are ready to see the leaderboard. Okay, we have quite changed at the last position. So Pooja got a new entry. So thank you everyone for joining the quiz, and thank you Bhagesh and Rob for giving this insightful presentation to everyone.
Before we close this session, Manish, I would like to thank the audience for being here, especially on the Sundays evening and giving us time for this demo. And I would also like to thank the QA Talks community for organizing such a beautiful event. And I have seen you as well as I think Daniel's being filled of the energy from yesterday, I believe. So thanks for that as well. And Daniel, man, I really appreciate the energy level that you hold.
Yeah, Daniel is our rock star, you know. Thank you for such a lovely words. Yeah, over to you, Daniel.
All right, thank you so much, Bhagesh, for those wonderful, humbling words. I highly appreciate them, and thank you, Manish, our quiz master. And yes, now is my cue to come back to the session. So for everyone here that's watching, thank you so much. We've now concluded this session, but just gentle reminders for all of you. If you are watching on your mobile device, be sure to hop over to your desktop version to get the best user experience out of Zoom events. And we'll be moving on to our next session, which, as you might have guessed, is going to be our final session as well. So we hope all of you will be coming, and we'll see you there. I will now end the webinar, which will teleport all of us back to the lobby, and you know the drill already. Just join the next session. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Rob turned on his video, so everyone can say bye to Rob as well.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.